moment you've all been waiting for. I am finally going to send some clay home, as long as we don't get shut down again between now and then. But you guys are going to take home some clay, and I have created this tutorial to show you how to create a pinch pot. And I create an owl in this video, but I also shared a time-lapse video on creating this little elephant here. But these are just suggestions. You guys can be as creative as you would like with your animal, and it doesn't even have to be an animal. If you want to create something besides an animal, that's perfectly fine. I've even had students kind of keep them very, very basic, like this bowl. I added some texture to the outside edge so that it just wasn't so plain. But I've had students make these without texture that just worked on getting them as smooth and perfect as possible. They almost look like they were thrown on a wheel. So something very simple is just as good as something that's more complex like this one. The other thing I've had students do is to flip these upside down and create their animal or their form from an upside down pinch pot. And you can certainly do that too if you don't want yours to be open on the top. But it needs to be open somewhere. You can't have just a solid ball of clay. Plus, I'm not going to give you quite that much clay. But if it's solid, I can't put it in the kiln because it will explode. So I won't put pieces in the kiln that are solid. They must be hollow like this on the inside. And the other thing is, I want you to make sure that they're not thinner or thicker than your finger. You want the width of your finger is about perfect. If you get them much thicker than that, sometimes it causes the walls to break in the kiln because it traps moisture and air in there. So, and then if you get them much thinner, they will sometimes break before they ever make it to the kiln. So these two are, actually all three of these are greenware, and greenware is the most fragile, as you guys learned from the previous videos. So you have to be extra careful with these. Now, when you finish your piece and you bring it in, you can bring it while it's still leather hard, where it's still a little bit flexible. I'd let it dry for at least a day before you try to bring it to school, just so you don't accidentally dent it or mess up the shape. But you can wait till it's bone dry, like these are, where it's completely dry. Either way is fine. I'll take them and I won't put them in the kiln until they're bone dry and ready to be fired anyway. So don't think that if you bring it and it's still wet that I'm gonna put it in the kiln that day. I won't do that. The other thing I'm going to show you at the end of this video is I've actually put some dirt in my planter, and I'm going to make a little succulent planter out of this one. And mine hasn't been fired yet, so once I put the dirt in there and the little plant, I'm going to have to take it back out to fire it. I just wanted to show you how these could be used, but I would not recommend using your piece as a planter without it being fired and glazed or painted first, because that's not going to work real well. If you put water in this, it will eventually just turn back into clay. So I'm going to show you at the end of the video how to do how it looks with the little plant in there. All right, so let's get started.
This block is called a pug, and the numbers on the side of the box tells me what to fire the clay to. So we're going to fire to cone 06, which is about 1800 degrees. This also tells me what type of clay we're using, which is purge clay. Purge clay is what you get when they change colors of clay in the pug mill. The pug mill is what they use to mix the clay. So when they change colors from one clay to the next, you often get a mixture of colors. And so for this reason, it's called purge clay, and it's often a little bit cheaper. The first thing you're going to do is take your clay out of the bag and start wedging it or mixing it with your hands and forming it into a ball. Then you're going to break off a section to use for details later, if you're going to add details, and continue smoothing and shaping your piece of clay into a ball. And you want to work on a non-stick surface. You can use a countertop like this, or you can use a piece of wood, just something that you can clean up easily when you're finished. If your clay seems too dry, add a little water to mix in to make your clay easier to work with. Now you're going to start shaping your pinch pot. So you're going to push your thumb into the center of your piece of clay, And then you're going to slowly work your way around, pinching the clay between your thumb and your fingers, trying to keep the walls nice and even as you go around. Every once in a while, put it down on the counter or your surface to smooth out the bottom. And you want to make sure that you get the bottom of the pot thinned out as well as you bring up the sides. Again, the wall should be no thinner than your finger. Be patient during this step. This process takes a while getting it smoothed out and shaped like you want it, so please don't rush this step. These videos are edited and I also sped them up and cut parts out of it to save time. I spent a lot more time shaping my pot than it appears in the video. For attaching pieces, you're going to need a little water and a plastic fork. So break off a section of your clay, divide it into 2 pieces, try to get them as even as possible. These are going to be the eyes for my owl, but again, you can make any animal you want. You don't have to make an owl. You don't even have to make an animal. It can be anything you want, but I'm dividing them and making them as even as possible for the eyes. Then I'm going to slightly flatten them. And before I attach, I'm going to take my fork and scratch or score the back of both pieces. Scoring is very, very important. You want to score both your pieces that you're attaching and you want to score the piece that you're attaching them to. Scoring those pieces makes the clay like Velcro so that as it dries and shrinks, the pieces can't pull apart, and so it keeps it from falling apart as it dries. So scoring is very important. If you attach smooth surface to smooth surface, when the clay shrinks as it dries, those pieces will fall off. So don't forget to score. And I'm smoothing these pieces out as I go. Then I'm going to take another small piece. This is going to be for the beak. Even this tiny little piece, I'm still going to score it before attaching it. Very, very important. I'm adding a little bit of water and that creates slip. Slip is liquid clay and it also acts as a glue to hold these pieces together. But slip alone will not hold those pieces on without the scoring, so don't forget to score your pieces. Now I'm adding the eyes. So again, I took 2 pieces, divided it evenly into 2 pieces, scoring both those pieces, and attach those to my larger circles. I didn't add slip to those pieces because those were wet enough that I felt like I didn't need to add slip, but I did score both sides. So the next part is to add the tufts to the owl's head. So again, I'm taking a piece of clay, dividing it evenly into 2 pieces, scoring both sides on the clay that I'm attaching to and the little pieces that I'm attaching. And I'm smoothing these completely into the owl's head. I'm not leaving a line where it is attached like I did on the eyes and the beak. I want this to be smooth and seamless, so I'm completely smoothing out all of the clay. And the last pieces I'm attaching are for the feet. So again, I take another piece, divide it evenly into 2 pieces, smooth those out, score both surfaces that I'm attaching, add a little slip or water, and then smoothing those around the edges. I also like to use the edge of my fork to smooth where the pieces are attached. Don't forget to carve your first and last name. This step is very important. All of these are going to be mixed up, and it's very important that I have your name on it so that I know who it belongs to. If you have room, I'd also like for you to put your grade level. You can just put a 5 for 5th, a 6 for 6th grade, and so forth.
Talk to you a little bit about the function of your piece. One neat thing about pottery is that it is often functional. So I created a planter out of my piece. You don't have to create a planter with your piece. You don't have to put dirt in it. You can just make yours as a bowl. You can use it as decoration, or you can use it to store things in. If you make yours a little taller, as long as you have enough clay, you could even use it as like a small pencil cup or something like that. So you can be creative about the function of your piece as well as the design of it. We will not be glazing them this year. I can't send glazes home, so what you can do after I bisque fire them, because I'll return them to you once they're bisque fired, and you can use any type of paint. You can go to Hobby Lobby or Walmart and get some paint from the craft section, as long as it's a permanent paint. You want to use permanent. Don't use anything washable because it won't stick to clay. So use something permanent for your piece, and then you can decorate it however you'd like. Let me know if you have questions. Enjoy creating. I can't wait to see what you come up with.